Welcome back, guys, to another Let's Play in history. Let's get it started.
Time for a little payback. The Contessa, having escaped us in the prison, is now hiding out in her castle estate. It's a well-fortified Gothic nightmare that would make any thief run in terror. Terrible or not, that's where we're headed. To sweeten the deal, we've learned that the Contessa, who until recently was a secret member of the Claw Gang, is in possession of the Clockwork Eyes. The thieves raccoonist describes the eyes stopping opponents dead in their tracks.
I'm going to finish off real quick with the election of 1856. This is basically a win for Buchanan. 1.8 million popular vote, 175 electoral votes. John C. Fremont, the Republican candidate, wins 114, and it's a good showing for Republicans because this is very, very paramount because this shows that they have some legs and some real power. And ultimately, Buchanan basically just becomes the next president of the United States of America. It's a very contentious Democratic nominating committee because Pierce was the incumbent, but he ends up losing to Buchanan in a very self-destructive convention. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Extract house. I do need that, so I know I wanted to save up for that, so I'm glad I got it now. Bring this a little bit closer too. Let's see if I think it's Sly because you got to do some reconnaissance work. Oh, poop. That's a lot of tanks.
Okay, here's the plan. First, take some recon photos around the area. Then make your way up to the re-education tower.
Looks pleasant enough.
Oh, and stay clear of tanks. You know, so you don't get blown up into little sticky pieces.
Okay. What am I supposed to do? Dang, I was checking something on the recording, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be taking pictures? I feel like I'm supposed to be taking pictures.
Neela's made a headquarters out of that old bank. It's a pretty secure location. It'll take some doing to drive her out.
Crap. Yeah, that was gonna happen.
The Contessa has these
Ooh,
folks out on
boat.
patrol against Neela's army. They could be useful to hitch a ride.
Can you believe this game came out 20 years ago? Yeah, whatever. Let's go this way. Starting to think this game hates me. Ugh. I mean, I just suck, but still, I think this game just hates me.
That's the blimp the Contessa used to escape from the prison. Maybe we could use it to our advantage around all these high towers.
Battle tank. A new assault tank.
Just our luck. Okay, Sly. Head up to the re-education tower.
Oh.
I suspect that's where we'll find the Clockwork Eyes.
No idea where I'm going. Which tower am I supposed to be going to? Is it this tower? This is a little confusing. Oh, that tower. Thank God I have my paraglider. Makes things so much easier. Anyways. God.
Try working your way around to the tower's window.
Good golly, Miss Molly. But I think you're all here to actually hear about the election of... God, you kidding me? Second time. I literally have to be right there. Okay, silver ain't bad. I'll take it. But you're here to hear about... You are here to listen me ramble on nonsensically about the election of 1860. Come on. The election of 1860, between several candidates, the Democratic Party themselves kind of just going all over the place, to be honest with you. In which case, they themselves went about doing the exact same thing that, ironically, their predecessors had done before, the Democratic Republicans, to steal the election of various different candidates in Andrew Jackson and Martin Van Buren, would try to do the exact same thing against Abraham Lincoln, who was the Republican nominee with Hannibal Hamlin as his vice presidential running mate. John C. Breckinridge. All these people there's 3 other candidates. They're all Democrats, basically. John C. Breckinridge, with Joseph Lane as his vice presidential running mate. And then Stephen Douglas, with Herschel Johnson as his vice presidential running mate. Specifically, being the specific Democratic nominee. Ironically, also in some ways, Lincoln's rival, because they're both from Illinois. John Bell with Edward Everett of Tennessee. Basically, their idea was, we're going to have a contested election that's going to go to the House, and then we're going to choose the best candidate of the top 3 vote getters. It was basically Breckinridge or Douglas that Democrats had hoped and wanted. They tried to do it because Breckinridge would hypothetically hold the South, because he's from Kentucky. A state he would ironically lose, by the way, to another person, which I just find funny. Which he would lose, ironically, to another one of his rivals, I guess you could say, or contemporaries. They hoped Douglas would split a couple of the northern states, although that was highly, highly unlikely. And Bell would at the very least carry some of the Midwest, that did not go well at all for them. The North, in particular, were highly united, in which case they ended up getting the overwhelming amount of electoral votes, 180 for Abraham Lincoln, which ultimately ended up being the majority. They could not split it, because Abraham Lincoln needed to get 150 or less electoral votes in order to actually win this particular, or to lose this particular election, and not have the majority. But in particular, he does win many of those states: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, which I think were contested states, but ultimately they ended up voting Republican. And obviously, anyone who has seen or known anything about American history knows what this election in a lot of ways was about. It's a lot more complicated than that, with hundreds of moving pieces. Abraham Lincoln basically wins the nomination because of several speeches he had, the debates he had with Stephen A. Douglas, which only hurt Douglas, and I would say really helped Abraham Lincoln launch himself as a regular, not well-known candidate to one who's going to basically be a nominee for the presidency. This leads to a very contested election that Abraham Lincoln quite literally didn't even show up on the ballots in the South, because they saw him as some insane radical individual. In so many ways, Abraham Lincoln was. But I'll be fair, outside of the actual constitutional violations that he would do during the time of his presidency, suspending habeas corpus, he did very unconstitutional things that would give the South and Democrats pause, regardless of whether he freed the slaves or whether the institution of slavery was bad. Regardless, they had reason to be feared, and Abraham Lincoln didn't quell those fears during his presidency. I'll put it that way. Oh. Poop, poop, doop, 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 doop. Yeah, we gotta get rid of these tanks, bro. They're just cramping the style. who's giving all these medals away?
All right, Sly, there's your new
I gotta start listening.
sneak inside and smash the coffin of the evil wolf priestess.
Sounds pretty harsh. Does the old girl really deserve that sort of treatment?
Weren't you listening? She was an evil wolf priestess. Once you smash the coffin, it'll free all the ghosts trapped in there with her.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with all of this, but freeing trapped ghosts sounds vaguely heroic.
And because of this, they end up splitting the votes just spectacularly. Douglas actually gets like about 30% of the vote, but only wins one state, which is just special, I feel. Oh, crap. What is going on in this game?
Nice work. Now head
I vaguely remember this part, to be honest with you.
I modified the imager in your binocular to capture ghosts.
Didn't I just set these guys free? Why would I want to capture them again?
Not to worry. It's only a short-term confinement. Gather all the ghosts, then set them free down the chimney of Thiela's headquarters.
I get you. She'll think it's a sneak attack from the Contessa.
Correct. If I did my math right, and I always do my math right, Thiela should respond to the assault by purchasing more firepower.
Anything bad for the Contessa is good for us. And we get to really freak out Neela.
Okay, this is like some Fatal Frame stuff going on right now. There we go. Do you have anything in your back pocket? Lame. It's 9 ghosts? Holy hell. Alright, let's get the ones over here real quick. Nope. Hey, that counts. Oh. Got it. Look like he has sunglasses on. again, what I find ironic is if you had to look at the polls, they were threatened enough by Abraham Lincoln that, and Republicans as a whole, that they at the very least thought that they could conceivably win the election. So I think their polls would probably say that they might have had enough of a of a potential, like they were going to win the popular vote most likely, but would they have won the electoral college? I don't think they did, and I don't think they believe they had a strong enough candidate to do so. Just based off of their actions and based off of what they thought, I'm going to guess what their version of internal polling would look like. They believe they didn't have enough of the support as they needed, specifically from the base, I would probably say. And this is going to be a very high election turnout, and they needed all the votes that they could possibly get. And the problem is that I think a lot of those votes in this high election turnout were going to go to the Republicans that would have shifted enough states. Ooh, you got something. And I think, like, some people do revisionist history with everything, but the truth is that a lot of people are not dumb. You know, they're not. They think far more logically if through, you know, like tilted lenses, I guess, in terms of how they act and how they go about doing things. But for the most part, Democrats specifically did this for a reason, and I think that reason was because they just believed they didn't have the success or the competitiveness to win any northern state. And that was the big thing. So I think that's why they did it. They gave them options, and as long as Abraham Lincoln did not get the votes that he needed to get the majority, that's all that they needed to do. Even if it meant costing them the presidency in choosing a specific candidate that they didn't want, like maybe Bell was a very staunch Southerner. Understand too that despite being Democrat, a lot of these Democrats in particular were more about, still, at least to a certain degree, you know, states' rights, etc., etc. They were indifferent to the ideals of slavery, I would say, personally. That's why a lot of them do stay with the Union post secession and, you know, Civil War. Not all of them, and an overwhelming majority, leave the Union, but there's a reason why Andrew Johnson ends up becoming a vice presidential candidate for Abraham Lincoln. Because all these people want the Union to stay strong, but they believe that, you know, Republicans would actively, well, destroy the Union. And destroy the Union means because of just their extreme radicalism, etc., etc. Whole multitude of different reasons, which in a lot of ways, in my view, are semi-justifiable. Beautiful.
Now just make your way to Neela's HQ and drop them down her chimney.
Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Give me like a gem. Not, man, the contest needs to pay y'all more. I don't want to come back later. I want to get it now. Chimney's all the way up there. Oh, never mind. Ooh.
So, the Contessa wants war, eh? Perhaps it's time I purchase a little air power. A few bombers should put that old charlatan in her place.
Alright, time to head back and let the boys do the rest of the work. Can I blow up these tanks? Ah! Oh no. Run, Bentley, run! Okay, there we go.
That's it. I knew she'd have a bad mojo collector to transport the overflow. Huh? It's a semi-magical device that sucks up bad mojo. I'll need it to gather the runoff from these spouts.
Wow, sounds easy.
Not really. Bad mojo is a powerfully dark force. Take any damage while carrying that collector and you're done for.
Wow, sounds hard.
Yes, it presents an interesting tactical challenge. Perhaps I could use the death traps native to these crypts against any foe that might attempt to thwart my collection of the ectoplasm.
Huh? No way then. I'd use that switch to smash up the guards before they ever got near me.
Precisely. Once all 4 cylinders of the collection device are full,
That's basically the election of 1860.
watch out! It's still resetting. Harry, strike!
Yeah, buddy. Come on. There we go. Why do they just keep coming? They're just throwing themselves at me. They must really love me. I think that's it.
Looks like the spouts run out of bad mojo. No matter, I'm 1/4 of the way to a full tank.
1/4 of a way to a full tank. Oh, it's gonna be a long mission.
I'm not really sure how to use your computer, but a new crypt should be up in your binocular.
Let's go, Bentley, my man. I don't think I'm supposed to get hit either, so I gotta be a little extra careful here. Oop.
Sorry about that.
Oop. Nope, not what I wanted. I don't know the controls. I mean, now I do. So I think those things on the side are supposed to be for...
Touche.
Oh, nope. Way off. Come on. Turn on. Turn on. Oh my... Okay, now I officially know how all of that works. Okay.
That is king. Hurry it up. Parry, strike.
There we go. I think I got this routine down now.
I'm the Lizard King.
The election of 1864. This is the re-election bid for Honest Abe himself. And ironically, it's going to be against his former general, Mr. George McClellan. This time, his running mate for Abraham Lincoln will be Andrew Johnson, the Democratic individual.
Touche.
Democratic vice presidential nominee, one of the few times that actually ever happens. Meanwhile, McClellan is choosing George Pendleton as his nominee. And remember, too, the only states that are going to be a part of this particular election are going to be the states that are still a part of the Union. Obviously, the background is pretty obvious, you know, Civil War and whatnot.
Excellent. Another chamber in my mojo collector is full. Moving on to the third crypt.
There should be a new waypoint in your binoculars.
Where's the third crypt? It's gotta be here somewhere. Of course it's over there. Is it really a crypt if it's like in an elevated building? Crap, 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 crap. Am I gonna explode if I jump? Nope.
Take that.
What does that one do? There's poisonous gas and fumes. Okay, so that's just the big one. This one, they're really gonna make me. They're really gonna make me earn this one.
Touche.
Do 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 do.
Hurry it up!
Just poison y'all like that. Is that it? Nope. Whoa. How do they live? Oh god. How many more come in? Crap, 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 crap. Boom.
That'll hurt.
There we go.
That does it for this room. Looks like I've only got one more crypt
Obviously, the
to
background of this information and what's going on in this election is the Civil War itself. A lot of people tie it to the war. A lot of people also tie it to just Abraham Lincoln kind of overreaching to a certain degree.
I just sent you another waypoint, but it's kind of buried in the west.
Because McClellan does lose a couple wins a couple states. And ironically, I think he ends up winning one of the more prominent northern states in New Jersey. Oh god.
Hatcha!
That's good to know.
Touche! The coup de grace!
This is basically just how fast can I react in this one.
Need physics?
Very simple. I'm kicking butt. Now I will say this election could have been very competitive had a couple more things happen, but largely speaking, McClellan was not a popular candidate for people and for Democrats, and in particular,
With a mojo collector at full capacity,
I would say in particular,
guys off that mine shovel. This is going to be great.
Lincoln, despite the problems and the issues, was a strong enough candidate to warrant, at the very least, being the winner. And polls obviously are going to be rigged in a lot of ways, even for popular incumbent presidents. I can't even go that way. And Lincoln was down like 10 points in the polls just because of pure opposition, ultimately being the biggest deciding factor, really. You dying. Running, 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 running. Alright. I'm going to stop this part right here just for a second. I'm going to take a quick break. God bless y'all rock. Like and subscribe. Any tips you want me to do with my content, just let me know. God bless. Later.